Everyone. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to EPR Women's Network, Jumpstart Your Year. Thank you for joining our webinar today. Just as you join, I know we're still having some ladies join us. If you can just, in your chat box, I just want to make sure that you can all hear me. If you can please just chat, just type yes in the chat box so that I know that if you can hear me or not. If you can hear me clearly, volume okay, and everything just from a logistics standpoint. Awesome, thank you. Thank you, Oluchi. Thank you, Olsen. Thank you, Chichi. Awesome, thank you. Thank you for that feedback. Awesome, awesome, awesome. All right, in the interest of time, we're going to go ahead and start. Again, I just want to say a huge thank you for just welcome to everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We are looking forward to an amazing time during our session today. And just by way of introduction, my name is Kemi, and I am one of the leaders at the EPR Women's Network. And EPR Women's Network it's a platform where we empower Christian women to fulfill their God-given assignments, and that is to deploy their gifts and their talents in the marketplace. We offer various resources, including webinars like this on a monthly basis to just provide you with just relevant, focused, timely tips to really help you achieve your goals. And today, this is our very first session for 2019. We do plan to have at least one webinar a month for the rest of the year. So look out for more information. But I'm going to go quickly and go ahead and start with you all today. But before we start, I'm really curious. I know we have a lot of people joining us. I'm really curious. Can you just type in the chat box and chat to everyone and all the attendees and panelists, just type in your name and your location. That is, so for me, I'm going to type in my name, Kemi, and I'm from Silver Spring. I'm in Silver Spring, Maryland. So if you can just type in your location. Awesome. Thank you. So we know who's in the room. All right. Awesome. Hi, Deborah. Hi, Chichi from Atlanta. Adenike from London. Buki from Dallas. Awesome, awesome. Anybody else? TA from Texas. Nice. Anybody else? Awesome. Nikki from Detroit. Thank you for joining us today. Awesome. We have folks from all over, and we look forward to having more people. Faye from Pittsburgh. Awesome. Thank you for joining us today. Awesome. Anybody else? Oluchi from Virginia. Great, 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 great. Ara from London. Hi, Ara. How you doing? Awesome. Thanks for joining us today. All right, we're going to go quickly into our session. Again, I want to make sure that we maximize our time. I think we have one more person. Awesome. Hi, Ara, again. Theodora from New York. Nice. Thank you for joining us today. All right, before going into the content, I just want to be, Tutu from Maryland. Awesome. Thank you. Awesome. We're going to go ahead and start. Exciting. I'll take a look at the locations in a bit. We'll go ahead into the content for today. I will just share some info on what to expect from this session. I know we came in with various mindsets. You're wondering, how do I jumpstart my year? What are those tips for success? And today I'm hoping that we just cover a few things and also have some good interaction. I'm going to assume that a lot of us that are on this session are, you're focused, you really want to achieve your goals. You've probably thought through some of your goals for 2019. You've probably reflected and done a lot of things, and maybe you just need another boost or what have you. This is the right place for you to be, because right now we're going to just really talk about some things that will help us really make sure that we're laser focused And if you can just go on mute if you're not on mute. Okay, I think I've muted you. Go. Great. All right, so just to make sure that we have some reminders to really help us to reset our focus, make sure that we're focusing on the right things at the right time in 2019 to position us for success. If you have done some of the things we talked about, great. You know, you check the box and maybe you have some tips to share with everyone else. We're all learning. We also want to make sure that we are focusing on what's most important and what's most impactful. As we all know, there's so many things that we could be involved in throughout the year, but our goal today is really to focus on what are those things that we can implement in our lives to ensure that as we go through the year, we're not just involved in activities, but we're focused on what's the most important and what will make sure that that will move us towards achieving our goals. And finally, as we go through the year, we all know that things happen, right? And so we want to make sure that we are set to maintain that momentum for the rest of the year. So we'll share some tips around that. Basically, in a nutshell, if I'm going to say this in a nutshell, it really is about us setting a foundation for success, because we all have different goals and different focus areas. So I'm hoping you get one or two things out of here today. Before we go into the details, I will just encourage you, if you're not in a quiet place, please go ahead and just separate yourself from any activity or noise or what have you. Have a pen, something to write with so that you can jot down some tips and whatever you learn, and make sure you're comfortable so that we can go ahead and start. So let's go right into it. Oh, before we go right into it, I do want to encourage you to please participate. It's very important for us to engage. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we are all learning. I'm here to not only share, but also to learn today. So if you can please just be ready to interact. I'm going to try to engage you in different activities, including at some point, I'll be looking for you to share what's on your mind in regards to if you have any questions or thoughts, we'll welcome that too. So let's be ready to do that. All right. So practical tip number 1. I termed this proactive reflection. For those of us who have been part of the EPR Women's Network, especially since last year when we really just started, we spent a lot of time talking about our vision, our mission, our goals, how to set goals, how to plan appropriately last year, how to plan SMART goals, and really how to achieve them. And so if you were part of those activities, I'm sure you have something documented, something that you worked towards last year. If you were not part of it, feel free to reach out to us. You can go to eprministry@gmail.com and just send a note that you need help with just taking a look at that, and we'll be happy to assist you and share some resources with you. But just reflecting on going from where we are right now, one of the things that when I think about proactive reflection is really just that opportunity to pause and reflect on what happened in the past to really help us assess what we need to start, what we need to stop, and what we need to continue. It's just as simple as that. And so before we go into that, I have a quick poll that I want to just I just want to run right now to just get a feel for where everybody is at. So I'm going to launch the poll really quickly. And if you can just answer those questions, choose one. How would you assess your accomplishments in relation to your goals in 2018? So we're looking back. We're doing some reflection now. Did you meet all your goals? Did you meet some of your goals and you kind of made some good progress? Did you not accomplish anything much in 2018, or you didn't set any goals? Okay, interesting. Wow. I think I have 6 more people that haven't voted. I met or exceeded all my goals. Wow, we have a high flyer in the room. Awesome. Anybody else wants to vote before I close out the poll? Okay. All right, I think most people have voted. Thank you so much. And I'm going to share the results really quickly, and I believe you can all see this. So what we have here is 6%, actually just 1 person met or exceeded all their goals in 2018. So we have that high flyer, congratulations. Hopefully we'll hear some tips from you all with regards to how you got there, when we have an opportunity to share some thoughts. For most of us, it seems that we met, for most of us, we met some of our goals, and we made some progress, which is also good. And good news is that we didn't have anyone that didn't accomplish much, and we didn't have anyone that didn't set any goals in 2018. So that is really good. So this gives me an idea of where we are within our group here. And so as we take a look at this, especially for the most of us that actually didn't achieve some of our goals and made some progress but didn't get there, this is like the perfect, opportunity for us to really think about, okay, what is it that we need to think about as we start 2019 to ensure that we make even better progress, or we get to that point where this time next year, we're one of those who are saying, I met all my goals in 2019. So a proactive reflection in my mind is, an opportunity to really revisit your mission and vision. Basically, all that means is, you take a look at it. I believe, and we believe actually in EPR Women's Network, that your vision evolves as time goes on. You have the vision and it evolves. You get more information, you get more experience, you get more insight. God reveals more things to it, and it begins to expand from the seed that has been planted initially. And so this is your opportunity to really step back and take some time. I will say, get some quiet, take a day off, half a day off, whatever you need to do to really just sit down and really think through, okay, what was it that I said at the beginning of last year or prior to that? How am I doing? Take a look at your accomplishments versus your goals for 2018. What worked? What didn't work? What didn't you accomplish? And the most important piece of it, honestly, is the why. What didn't work? Why didn't it work? What is it that prevented you from getting to where you needed to get to? And then another question that is very critical is, once you get the why, it's like, okay, so what needs to change? Is it, where are you spending your time? What behaviors need to change? What is it that you're not managing your time appropriately, or what? And sometimes it could be something you can't control, which is a totally different topic altogether. But again, doing that diagnosis is very important before you now go into that 2019. And again, you may have set your goals and have your focus for 2019, but this is just an opportunity for us to just think about it if you've not done this, to say, hey, am I setting the right goals and right focus for the year? Another important piece here is making sure that we consider all the areas of our lives. Sometimes we focus on one thing heavily versus the other, and that is appropriate given the season that you're in. But just doing an overall evaluation of all those aspects is very, very critical as you do this proactive reflection. Another tool that I'm going to mention that that might be really helpful for you is we did share a template early in the year within the EPR ministry WhatsApp group. And if you still need that template, we will share that with you. It's a very comprehensive template that will help you to actually engage in this activity. It's very powerful. I have personally done it, and it made a huge difference with regards to how I set my goals for 2019. Okay. Again, as we go forward, I know I'm moving into practical, the tip 2, but again, note down your questions. We'll have an opportunity for Q&A in a bit. The second practical tip is envisioning success. We're gonna have a quick activity right now. Again, I assume you all have a pen or a paper or your phone or your iPad, whatever it is that you're using to take notes. I'd like you to just close your eyes for a minute and imagine that it is December 31, 2019, and it was successful. It was amazing. You achieved all your goals. You're that one person who just did everything, and you were able to become who you wanted to become, do what you wanted to do, and make the difference that you wanted to make. Write down just one thing that would have occurred to have made that success a reality. So you're traveling down into December 31, 2019. It was successful. What's that one thing that would have occurred, that you'd have accomplished or you would have become, that would have occurred to have made you say, you know what, Kemi, this year was a successful year for me? So just write it down for yourself. This is your personal reflection. Then I'd like you to close your eyes one more time and just imagine the flip side. You were disappointed, December 31. You're pretty disappointed because there were some things, that course you were supposed to take, you just never got to it, whatever it is that you felt would have made you successful, and you just didn't get it done. What is that one thing? If you can write that down. Again, these are some of your notes. I'm sure you have a number of items that could fall into any of those two buckets, but in the interest of time, we're just focusing on one. Here's what I'd love you to just consider. As you think through 2019, the end of 2019, it's important to just think about and create your reality ahead of time. And I took you through that exercise for you to just really begin to think about the things that are most important to you. And in addition to that, it's creating that journey or going down that journey of victory or success in your mind of who you want to become, what impact you want to make that is critical at this point. Then the next step is like you've gotten to that end of the road and you know, hey, I was successful or I was not, whatever it is. From a successful perspective, the question that you want to ask yourself at this point is, what are the things that I need to do, engage in? What do I need to ensure that I get to that place of success? What are those steps I need to take today? It's a little twist on your goals, so to say, and it helps you just delve deeper into the nitty-gritty. It is, hey, I want to apply for a new job. I want to increase my income, or I want to buy a new house. Let me even take it to that level. I want to buy a home. Do I have good credit? Yes or no? Okay. If I see myself December 31, my goal is really a stretch because, hey, maybe my credit is not that good or I don't even have money for the down payment, but what do I need to do to get there? Do I need to talk to someone to say, how do I repair my credit? Do I need to get a new job or find some additional streams of income to ensure that I have enough for my down payment? Whatever it is important for us to travel down that path in our minds first, to ensure that we understand what success will look like, so we recognize it, and then it will motivate us to be able to move towards down that path in a more intentional way, in a more in a way that will ensure or improve your probability for success. And so that's what I'm trying to engage us in right now. So I'm hoping that exercise is helpful. Now, that was just a minute. You need more time to do this. You need to take out some time to personally just do in that moment of reflection to really think through it, so that it helps you break down those expectations, and then you kind of break it down into what steps do you need to take, and and by the grace of God, I'm sure we will all be in a better place at the end of 2019. Okay. Practical tip number 3. Now, this is my favorite, and this is my North Star for 2019. And it is prioritizing the major versus the minor. What does that really mean? So I'm gonna just take some time to break this down, and then we're gonna get ready for some good interaction here. And I want to hear your voices. So we'll take us through that process. But let me just walk us through the thought process. First of all, I'm going to give credit to I'm sure some of you may have seen this matrix before or something like it. Got it from Stephen Covey. It's one that just recently stumbled upon again recently, and it just resonated with me. And when you take a look at this, it's the concept of making sure that what you engage in on a regular basis and most of your time are things that will be aligned with your vision, your mission, the things that are most important to you. So I'm going to walk through these 4 quadrants. So the bottom quadrants, I'll just talk about them very quickly. These are the things that, as you see here, it says you should avoid. Basically, you should avoid these sections. And these are things that are considered urgent but not important. These are some calls that will come in that are not really important, that will distract you from things, or kind of weeding through emails, or some meetings that may not be relevant, or some engagements that might not be relevant, or and some of these things are very personal to you and your goals. So what might be relevant to me might not be relevant to you. So I've heard people say, you know what, I don't do social media. At the same time, there's some people that use social media for their business. So to them, that's important, and they need to focus on that because it's important. And so, but for somebody else that doesn't use it for that, and they feel they get distracted, it is a distraction. The other piece is the quadrant 4 here are the things that are not urgent and not important. Busy work, time wasters, escape activities. Hey, I'm not saying you shouldn't watch shows, but hey, I just want to spend hours and hours in front of the TV, not doing anything. It may not be relevant, especially when you have serious goals to accomplish. Now I'm going to go into the top left. These are the things that are urgent, and these are and important. What are these things? These are things that you need to do. They're deadline driven. There are things like, okay, you have to get it done. You have to prepare for a particular meeting. You have to deal with some medical issues, some emergencies. Very deadline driven. Some meetings, some important calls. They're important, but you have to do them now. They can't wait. You want to spend some time there, but you want to get it done and get it out of the way. Now, when it comes to the things that in the top right, those are the key things. Those are the areas where you want to really focus your time, spend more time, because you need more thinking time. We can go into some discussion around what side of your brain you're looking for, you're using for different activities. But this particular area is an area in which you need to think deeply. You need to reflect. You need to take your time to do. You need to do it properly. It's your planning. It's exercising. It's eating right. It's planning your meals. It is taking time out for vacation. It is planning. It's being a part of, for instance, being a part of this session is because you're taking a look at your long-term goals and you're trying to figure out, okay, I need to plan to attend this. This is important because I think I'm going to learn 1 or 2 things to really help me to get to where I need to get to. This is where we want to spend most of our time and plan and focus around those priorities. And it could look different depending on who you are. Like for me, I was taking a look at my schedule. I was being challenged to say, hey, you know what, plan ahead, put all these engagements on your calendar ahead of time and everything. And what I realized over the past 24 to 48 hours is going into the first 1.5 weeks of the year, most of my calendar was built around these things. The important and urgent, the meetings I had to be engaged in and everything, but there were some key things that were important to me and my family that I needed to do that I was procrastinating on, and I really just felt really challenged to say, no, you need to prioritize those, make those, let them become urgent in your mind so that they don't become real urgencies in the future. So this is what you call investing your time. You're paying it forward instead of spending time. Right? I'm sure some of you have heard about the 80-20 rule. Basically, spend 80% of your time on the things that are most important, right? On 20% of it. So you see in this quadrant here, you see really it's 25%, but you spend 80% of your time on that urgent, not urgent, but important segment. And then this really helps you. And the way you can do this on a very practical sense is when you have your to-do list, just label them. Maybe it's ABCD is your little code for your to-do list, or 1, 2, 3, 4, or urgent, not urgent, important, whatever it is. And so that way you prioritize. These are the top 5 things I want to achieve this week, or 3 things I want to achieve this week. So I'm just going to pause for a minute. I know I've talked for a little bit, and you've engaged, but I haven't heard your voices. So I want to just see if anybody has any questions, comments, examples, especially around this particular topic. So what you can do to engage here is you can raise up your hands, because I like to hear voices here. You can raise up your hand in the webinar. There's a let me see. I believe if you hover over your name, you should be able to raise your hand, and I can unmute you. Anybody? Oh, I see some hands. I'm gonna start with Osen. Hi, Osen. I'm gonna unmute you. All right.
Hi. Good
Hi,
afternoon.
Osen.
Hello.
Hi. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Yes, thank you for this metric. This is really, this is amazing. I've never seen this metric before. Of course, I've heard of these concepts, but it's really good to see this visually. But yeah, I was just like, I have a question, maybe just like a question slash comment. I love the fact that the non-urgent is still very important, because sometimes we think if it's not urgent, we have time to kind of like, you know, address those things. So some of the things that I've been trying to do, which is a little tedious at times, is like making many steps to, I guess, make progress towards those non-urgent but important things.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm just curious to hear if anyone has any other, and when I say many steps, like putting on my calendar,
Mm-hmm.
Google Map, you know, Google Calendar, and saying, okay, I'm going to study, for example, I want to take my GREs, but I've been really focusing, I guess, on the urgent and the things that I need to focus on now. But this is something I want to do in the next 6 months. And I'm saying, oh, I have time. And I feel like I'm going to push it back or
Mm-hmm.
push it back further. So I've been trying to like maybe take 1 or 2 hours a day to focus on that. But even that is still challenging. So I'm just curious if anyone has any suggestions on how to make that, I guess, more of a reality.
Great question. So I'll give it a shot, and then of course, you know, again, if you have additional comments or feedback for Osen, feel free to share and raise your hand. So I will say you did mention that you have, you know, you try to break it down into pieces, because that's very important. So you're not going to just go ahead and take your GREs, right? You're going to, there's some things you need to do. You need to, you know, first of all, have the money. You need to study for it. You need to, you know, there's various things that you need to do. With regards to taking time to do it, I will say one of the things that there are two things that came to mind when you were talking. Something called time boxing, and I think we learned something about that last year during our last session, where, you know, you know, sometimes we schedule time to do some stuff, and then we just don't get to it, or it's not working, or we get distracted. It's maybe 2 hours is too long, or whatever, you know. But when you choose your time, you focus more on it from the standpoint of, I'm going to focus on only this, and so moving away from everything that could be distracting. So it's really thinking through, what is the best way I can maximize this time? And so whatever you achieve within those 2 hours is fine, but kind of move very quickly into those and laser focus into those 2 hours, and make sure that that's all you're doing. Put away your phones. I was talking to someone yesterday who was saying, hey, she's found value in writing things down in a journal, as opposed to writing notes in her phone, because it keeps her from being distracted from her phone. That means she keeps her phone away when she's trying to reflect and do something. The other thing is something that I also recently learned about was, you know, maybe you want to break even your overall goal, right, into, again, going back to focus, into a very shorter time period. So if you were thinking for the year, by December I want to achieve this, can you even shorten your timeline to say, not only 6 months, maybe within the next 12 weeks I want to get it done? And what is it going to take me to do it, you know, to get it done within 12 weeks? And just break it down that way, and then declutter. Again, another thing that we don't do many times, which I personally have been challenged on, is declutter your schedule. The reason why you probably can't do is, I don't do it, at least for me, is because maybe your schedule is cluttered. So what needs to give? What needs to give? All right, any other comments?
Awesome, thank you.
No, thank you. Do I see another hand? Buki? All right, let me unmute you. Hi, Buki. Oops. I think you need to unmute yourself. For some reason, I'm trying to unmute you and it's not working. Booking.
Hey, Kemi, can you hear me?
Yes, now I can.
Awesome. Hey, everyone. This is Buki from Dallas, Texas.
Hi.
Actually, this is my first time of joining. And, I felt I needed to join because this is a new year. And, like you said, it's been very busy in the past 1 year. And I haven't been able to join, but I'm so glad that I'm able to join. I know that 2019 is going to be a beautiful one.
Amen.
I wanted to, put this feedback out there for you. This is beautiful. And I just want to say, give you kudos and say thank you for doing this to encourage women and younger women as well. It's really a comment. And, I wanted to say that I can resonate with, this tip that you're providing to us. And just as a testimony, something happened to me a couple of days ago, and I just wanted to share it. Having thought about what you just shared. I'm a project manager, and also I know it's very important to prioritize projects, so to prioritize, goals and different things that, different tasks. So one thing I do, as a project manager is to collect a list of, my tasks and, identify the ones that are very, very important, the ones that are urgent. Just like you stated, everything is what I'm doing. But as a project manager, I failed, in one thing in this past 2 days, which is, my daughter's insurance. That's one thing I wanted to share. Very, very important. And now I have to pay for it. So, and one thing I wanted to also add to this is, for us, when we collect a list of all our tasks, our project, and we write them down, and we do the next step by, making sure we identify the ones that are important versus the ones that are not, and the ones that are urgent. The next thing I want us to do is to access value to those things. How much is this going to cost me now? If I do it, how much is it going to cost me later if I don't do it? So, for example, what happened was that I was supposed to renew my daughter's insurance, and apparently I had, I did it, and they sent me a letter to let me know that actually what happened was that I had previously lost my job and I put her on cheap. Got my job back, thank God, but for some reason her private insurance was still showing on her cheap. She had when I had that job. So, but for some reason they had sent me a letter to let me know that the private insurance was showing, and for some reason they gave me, there was a timeline for it. So for some reason I saw that email, but I overlooked it. It was one of those emails. It didn't go to my spam. But because it wasn't one of those urgent emails, I overlooked it. And now it's costing me my daughter's insurance. Now she's sick, and I had to go to the doctor yesterday, and of course she's without insurance. So now I had to redo the insurance. I had to reapply, which take a long time. I had to pay out of pocket yesterday when I took her to the doctor. So that's something that I wanted to add, to this, for us to also add value. By value, and also, make sure that we're not overlooking things, because honestly, I had to take time off work yesterday, the whole time, to apply, to take her to the doctor, and to also pay. You know what it is. In a new year, I really want us to
focus on that value,
things like that, and don't, let things fall through the crack. But Kemi, I just wanted to say that this is beautiful. This is a very good thing you're doing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you so much, and God bless you.
Amen. And thank you. Thank you for sharing. That is so powerful. I really, really appreciate you sharing that. As you were talking, I could remember, I started remembering some losses I've actually experienced in my past, where, yes, out of procrastination, not dealing with what's important and everything. And it could be as simple as those things. Some of those things are very important life decisions, right? This is your daughter's life, and everything. It could be your personal life. It could be something even as simple as, and if you can go back on mute, sorry. I think, okay, I'm going to mute you. Okay, because we're getting some video. Great. So, it could be as simple as, doing your physical checkup. Things like that. Those things are so important because it's going to prevent you from getting into trouble later. And so I'm going to say, I think, who else? Let's see. Did I have anybody else? All right. I thought I saw Chichi. Chichi, did you still want to say something, or are we good to go? All right. Well, thank you so much for those comments and questions. I think there's somebody that raised something in the chat. Amen. Amen. So thank you. I pray your daughter is completely healed in Jesus' name, and the Lord will restore you in Jesus' name. Amen. Amen. Awesome. God is good. All right. So if we don't have any other questions on this, oh, Chichi, there you go. I thought I saw you.
Yeah, Kemi, awesome job, and kudos to the entire Women's Network. I think what I wanted to say was covered by Buki a little bit, which is, this is actually the first time, I've seen this quadrant before, but even just the tip about it's not enough to write a list of things to do or to organize ourselves. Like, we need to understand the order in which we do things. And part of that is just practical, like Buki said, what is the value or the opportunity cost of not doing this particular thing? Some offices might be closed over the weekend, and sometimes it's more efficient for us to do the things we can do at any time, even 2 a.m., little things like that. I think that's something that is very helpful for me during the session that I took, which is, that's great. It's great that we are trying to get organized, but we need to go a little bit further and look holistically at the entire thing. And then the other feedback that has helped me is just understanding how I deal with lists and productivity, like just understanding how we ourselves are productive, and just being very protective of that. Sometimes people may not understand what is required for you to be productive, whether it's at work or, in our personal spaces, or, just elsewhere. I think sometimes we need to just be very focused on your last slide, which is how can we ensure success? For me, I think it's been a journey in 2018 to understand how best I work, how best I'm productive in every arena of my life, and just being highly protective of that, and just explaining to people. Sometimes they don't understand, like, I'm so sorry, like, the reason why I'm doing this is so that I can accomplish this. And yeah, I'm just really excited about this seminar and all future webinars. So thank you so much for putting this together, and everyone on the team who helps put this together.
Thank you. Thank you for that feedback. And just a couple of thoughts as you were talking. You're so right. With regards to our productivity and everything, we need to understand the way, when are we most creative? I think we talked about this during the last seminar, last webinar, but I'll highlight this again. So for instance, I know I'm a morning person, right? And some people are not. My husband is not, for instance. And when I get all chatty and throwing out ideas in the morning, it's like, what is wrong with you? And but that's when my brain is most alert. And so what I do on my calendar at work, if you look at my Outlook calendar today, I block off the first 2 hours of the day. So nobody is scheduling meetings on my calendar during that time, because we have a culture of where they'll put meetings on your calendar where you need to be there. And so everybody just assumes that I'm busy during those 2 hours. So it gives me, that's my opportunity to really think, to work, to do creative work, and then I can do meetings for the rest of the day. Another thing is, really, especially when it comes to expectations of others compared to yours, you need to be really protective of your time and because other people have their own goals, and they might be trying to impose, their goals or their expectations on you, and you need to be really, really careful. It could be, how you manage even things like social media and all that. And have a time to focus on those things if you need to. You know, even at work where you feel like you need to do creative work, have that quiet time so that you can focus on those things in your personal life, or wherever you know, that your business life, or whatever it is. So again, it's very important to be very protective. So thank you so much, Chichi, for sharing that. I think I have Oluchi, you wanted to speak? We'll take Oluchi and then we'll keep moving. I think I've unmuted you, Oluchi, or you can try to unmute yourself.
Oh, hi, Kimmy. I'm sorry, I'm a little I have a little cold.
Sorry,
one
I feel
practical
better.
thing I wanted to say was that for me, I did this last year. I made quarterly goals, not just yearly goals, but each quarter, and each down to each month. Like the first quarter, I've already made my monthly goals. Second quarter, I have my quarterly goals.
Better.
And so just for the person who was looking to like pass their TREs by a certain deadline, it's you have a deadline, and then you like map out from that deadline when you need to get all of your assignments hit. You know, there's certain intervals that you need to hit. So I would just say that's helpful, and also being a little flexible, knowing that your goals at the end of the year will change throughout the year, but at least you have a baseline as to where you what month what you're doing this month, what you're doing next month, you know, and a time within a quarter, which is 3 months, they'll give you some flexibility and say, okay, maybe I wasn't able to hit it this week or next week, but at least I know by such and such day I should be moving. So just having those quarterly goals and having them posted, I put Habakkuk 2 on my wall as well as my quarterly goals, which says make the right division, make it plain, and all of that. And so having that anchored underneath my quarterly goals, underneath my monthly goals, and having it posted around my apartment, kind of have the visual reminder of what the goals are and what I'm looking to achieve each month.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. We have a question for you, Oluchi. Oluchi, do you set each quarterly goals as that quarter approaches, or do you set them quarterly early in the year?
Well, honestly, I did all mine at the beginning of the year.
Okay.
I'm really ambitious, so I have all my quarterly goals at the end of the year. But I'm also cognizant and know that, hey, you know, I may change goals, I may add things on, which is fine, you know, and I can do that. But the point of the matter is, at least I have some direction, you know, and I have an idea of like how I want the year to progress and what I should be achieving at different intervals throughout the year.
Yep. Sounds good. Awesome. And that actually, and I'm trying to say, okay, we don't have any other hands. And that actually leads us into the next practical tip and the last one for the day. I'm looking at the time right now, and it is periodic checks. And you hit on something really that you know, I was literally having a conversation about it yesterday, where, you know, really those, after all said and done, you have your goals, you prioritize and everything. It's important to not only set those goals, but also have a way to check on those goals and to see how you're progressing. So I call them periodic checks. You know, I'll let you said it right, you know, have your vision up, you know, whatever it looks like, vision board, whatever, flip chart, whatever it is, make sure that you have it in view. It needs to be visible to you, you know, be it something that you need to see every morning or whatever, and then engage with it, you know, as Christians, you know, we you know, you pray over it. You're like, God, you know, open my eyes to see, and you will begin, and you will, it keeps it in view so that you don't forget it. Again, write the vision, make it plain, right? And then, you know, Oluchi, I think you saw the slides ahead of time, but, you know, create your quarterly, you know, and so I feel like, so I was learning, having a conversation around quarterly goals, and, you know, somebody suggested it's called a 12-week year. It's actually a book, and how it's really how to compress your goals into, you know, 12 weeks as opposed to looking at it for the full year, and really taking a look, what is it that you can realistically achieve within those 90 days. If you're, you know, I'm in the world of, in my day job, I manage performance management, and there is, if you look at research around performance management, there's something to say about setting quarterly goals, setting 90-day sprints, you know, and everything, and where you you take a look at it, you set the goals, you achieve it, you get feedback on it, and you run and you move to the next thing. And then from those quarterly goals, then you think about what is it that I need to do each month to get me to those quarterly goals. So think about it. So again, I believe God gave us months and quarters and years to help us really set boundaries around our time, so that it gives us almost like a check, a natural check. And with EPR Women's Ministry, EPR Ministry, we have our 3-day fasting every month, where we have an opportunity to really take a look at and really just reflect on what we need to do. So for the month, and we do that prayerfully. And so that's an opportunity for you to really pause and take a look at what is it that I need to achieve this month. What are the 5 things I must do? Again, going back into our those that are important but not urgent quadrant. What are the things that need to be dumped in there to say, no matter what, I need to get these things done. So if I don't need to go for that party, don't need to watch that show, what is it that I need to do? And then the weekly one is that ongoing check for you to just make sure that you're going, because sometimes you might not have time to do the major reflection depending on what your life is like at the time. And then daily is really, you're just checking off the list. But again, you always have your priorities, you're making right choices with regards to what's most important, so that you don't have to pay later for it. Very important. So you need to figure out what your personal disciplines are. So Oluchi shared hers. Yours might be totally different, but figure out what works best for you given the time and season that you are in your life. One other piece that I will throw out there is kind of building an accountability. Some people are highly motivated. They can run with their goals. They don't need extra people to hold their hands or hold them accountable. And some people do. And so I always encourage having an accountability partner. Last time we met, we talked about mastermind groups. Hopefully we'll be sharing information. Datola from our last session is going to be facilitating one, especially for EPR at a discounted price. So hopefully we'll share that with you pretty soon. But, figure it out. Do you have a partner, mentor, a friend who will hold you accountable? Establish that so that it will help you. You share, you be vulnerable with the person, share your goals, share what you want to accomplish, to say, hey, I give you authority to ask me and get up in my business and ask me about X, Y, Z. And that will motivate you to get it done, because somebody's going to ask you. And then finally, again, Oluchi talks about being flexible and agile. Very important, because life happens. But I'll say, in addition to that, not a but and I'll say in addition to that, celebrate your accomplishments. So be it a monthly thing or whatever, just see, the picture that comes to my mind is, for those of you who have taken the Dave Ramsey's class, on Financial Peace University, he talks about baby steps, where he breaks down this whole debt-free plan into baby steps, so that you don't feel like you have to accomplish this huge goal before you feel like you're making progress. So it's important to keep that in mind, because that's just the human nature. We get, we're motivated. You're like, oh my God, I can do this, and then make adjustments along the way. And so those are some of the tips that, I think as we apply some of those, again, we're throwing some ideas out, and thank you to all the ladies that have contributed and shared those extra tips. So if we really, really appreciate, you sharing those tips. But if you can, just want to encourage you, as we go through this process, first of all, if you have any questions, this is a time for you to ask those questions. I don't see any additional hands up. So, feel free to ask in the chat box, or we still do have a couple of minutes to go. But we're going to have a moment where we're just really, as you do that, I want you to think through one thing that you're going to take out of this. So if you have questions, feel free to raise your hand. So those are the instructions. And then in addition to that, as you're doing that, if you don't have a question, is there one major takeaway from this session? Doesn't have to major, it could be a minor tip, that you have taken away, that you've identified from this session, that you know that it will make a difference for you? So if you can use the chat box and just type that one thing that is a major takeaway for you. And in the meantime, as others are thinking, I'll see if there are any hands up. I've seen you're all thinking, all typing. All right, I see. All right, okay. Be intentional about your success. Awesome. Thank you, Dola, for assessing value to achieving my goals. Thank you, Buki, for sharing that. Prioritizing the major versus the minor. Going back to the basics. Closing my eyes and envisioning December 31. What I've achieved is great motivation to get things done. I really want, that's Ara. Thanks, Ara, for sharing. Adebola, if I really want to crunch the goals I've set for myself this year, I need to reduce some of the time I spend watching TV on weekends. Good one. All right, Chidi. Setting annual goals are great. Setting monthly goals are also important. Prioritizing and staying focused. Awesome. Thank you so much. Wow, this is great. All right. Thanks for sharing. Working to achieve my goals ahead of my deadline. Awesome. Thanks, Agogo. All right, so as you do that, thanks for sharing. I also want you to think about, again, in your little notepads, this is, where we're being practical here. Is there one thing one action that you must take? And you don't need to share this with the rest of the group, but one action that you must take with it that you can and should take based on everything you've heard within the next 24 to 48 hours. Example, you need to go back and revisit your plan. You need to go and do your envisioning exercise, whatever it is. Just take one more moment and just write that one thing down and make a commitment to yourself to just do it. Again, think about those things that are in that, not urgent but important box that you need to either do or plan for, or put on your calendar, making an appointment with yourself. All right. Okay. So as you do that, for those of you who are finished, I have a poll for you guys. Give me 1 second. All right, so I have a survey poll quickly that I'd like to have you fill out, and I'm gonna run it really quickly, and if you can please just fill out, this is a quick feedback survey that we just want to quickly get your feedback on this session. So you can go ahead and fill it out very quickly. They're just 3 questions, I believe. So if you can fill it out very quickly, we'll really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you for your responses. Thank you. Awesome, thank you so much. Thank you. So as that goes on, just a few reminders here of some information for you all. Again, we do host monthly webinars. This is our first, so we're excited. We're glad you came. The attendance is great. We just want to just put this out there. Save the date for February. We do plan to have a session on accountability for success in February. Right now it's February 16th. If anything changes, we'll let you know, but save the date. Same time. And same time, we'll have it at 12 noon Eastern time, 5 p.m. British Standard Time. And if you can just, definitely just, plan to attend, put it on your calendar. But as we get more information and finalize the details, we'll definitely share with you. And then, let's see, the poll is still going on. If you still haven't filled it out, feel free to go ahead and fill out the poll. And just a couple of quick reminders, I just have some quotes here that I wanted to put out there as we close out today. We talked about kind of focusing on what's most important. Again, oops, let's do that. This just to make sure that we're focusing on what's important. I think I had a mouse issue. Nothing is less productive than to make more efficient what should not be done at all. So again, going back to what's most important, what do you need to focus on? It's important that you focus on what's important. You don't need to make more efficient what's not important or productive for you. Or if you don't design your own life plan, chances are you'll fall into somebody else's plan. And guess what? What they have planned for you? Not much. So nobody else can plan your life like you can. So you need to take charge, take hold of your own, plan, and make sure that you achieve it. You achieve your goals, because nobody else is going to be able to do it for you. All right. Well, with that said, I want to just thank you all for responding to our survey. It seems like most of you really enjoyed this, and thank you so much for the feedback. It seems, we really just appreciate all the engagement and the likes. If there are no other questions, I know we only have 3 minutes. I thought I saw a hand go up. Give me 1 second. No, not really. All right. Otherwise, well, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for participating in this session. We really appreciate it. Again, save the date, make time to reach out to us. If you have any questions. Thank you, Remy. Thank you. Thank you everyone for the feedback. I appreciate it. We appreciate it. I want to say a huge thank you to all the ladies from EPR Women's Network. They are amazing, and look forward to more amazing stuff for the rest of the year. Thank you and have a great afternoon.